I want to start with a simple question. Why do we only talk about the really polished version of growth? I'm Sam, and this is Don't Miss the Conversation. If you've followed my work for any amount of time, you probably know me through healthcare education, cath and EP lab training, visual resources, teaching complex things in a way that actually makes sense. But what you might not see as clearly is everything that exists around that work. The decisions, the doubt, the pivots, the conversations that happen behind closed doors. And that's really why this podcast exists. Because the most important conversations, the ones that shape who we become, rarely happen in lecture, caption, or highlight reel. They happen in moments of uncertainty, in transitions, in quiet realizations that something needs to change. I've spent years answering questions in DMs and comments in classrooms and on YouTube. Questions like, am I behind? Is it normal to feel unsure this early in my career? What if I change my mind? What if the thing I worked so hard for just doesn't fit anymore? And what I've learned is this: people don't just want answers. They want context, conversation. They want to know how decisions actually get made, what it costs, what it teaches you, and what it looks like on the other side, and the things that people don't really publicly talk about. Don't Miss the Conversation is the place where those questions finally get the space that they deserve. This is not a podcast about having it all figured out, and it's definitely not a podcast about performing perfection. This is a podcast about education and business, healthcare and leadership, advocacy, boundaries, burnout, and sustainability, and what it really takes to build something meaningful without losing yourself in the process. We talk about what happens after the applause, after the promotion, after the viral moment, after the success that looks really great on paper. Because growth doesn't always look like forward motion. Sometimes it looks like a pause, a pivot, a hard conversation with yourself. And I'm not saying this from the outside looking in. I've pivoted from my own career multiple times, from healthcare to academics, to medical sales, to entrepreneurship, often with limited resources and a whole lot of uncertainty. What I've learned both personally and from watching others find real alignment is that there's a deep intuition most of us have about our next step. The hard part isn't knowing, it's trusting it. Sometimes that starts with hearing someone else's story. Sometimes it starts with a conversation that gives you permission to listen to yourself. That's why you'll hear from people like healthcare professionals navigating early careers and really big transitions, small business owners and nonprofit founders doing meaningful work behind the scenes, creators and educators who care deeply about impact and integrity, people who've made bold decisions, and people who are still in the middle of them. Some episodes will be reflective. Some will be practical and tactical. Some will be really uncomfortable in the best way. But every guest is here because they're willing to talk honestly, not just about what worked, but about what they learned. If you're someone who feels like your path doesn't look like everybody else's, is early in career and wondering if uncertainty means that you're doing something wrong, if building something like a career, a business, a mission, and you realize it's more complex than maybe you expected, or you just want a conversation that feels really grounded and useful, then this space is for you. Because uncertainty isn't a sign that you're lost. It's a signal that you're paying attention. I hope this podcast feels like sitting across the table from someone who tells you the truth, a conversation you didn't know you needed, but maybe you can't stop thinking about, and a reminder that you're not behind, you're just becoming. We'll end most episodes with a quick reflection, something quick, visual, and human, because growth isn't something you'll hear about, it's something you feel. So if you're here to learn, to reflect, to feel a little less alone in the in-between, welcome. This is Don't Miss the Conversation, and I'm really glad you're here.